Welcome to SkeptiVibe. Here we examine and pressure test popular ideas that sound like great advice until you slow down and think about them. Let's examine an idea that sounds inherently good. Think positive. All the self-help and personal development books advertise it. Everyone agrees with this one. In reality, not really. In the last episode, we looked at how incomplete ideas collapse under scrutiny. Today, we're examining one that feels almost untouchable, not because it's bad advice, but because it's incomplete. Think positive sounds harmless. It's encouraging, supportive, healthy. It suggests hope, resilience, mental strength, and culturally, positivity is treated as maturity. On the other hand, negative thinking is perceived as weakness or pessimism or even toxicity. We admire people who stay positive. We criticize people who complain, but secretly admire them professionally. So, the advice spreads easily, and oh boy, how it caught on in the last few years, pushed by the social, economic, and political situation. But the phrase compresses something complicated into two words, and when something complicated gets compressed, something important gets removed. The hidden assumption of think positive is that thoughts are like switches. As if you can replace a negative thought with a positive one, and the emotional system will obediently follow. It's fair that changing your perspective can change how you view the world, but that's not the same thing as think positive. Human psychology doesn't work like a light switch. It works like a feedback loop. Emotions are signals. Anxiety signals uncertainty. Anger signals perceived injustice. Sadness signals loss. Fear signals risk. If you immediately override the signal with forced positivity, you might calm the surface, but you ignore the information. So the slogan assumes negative thoughts are inherently harmful, positive thoughts are inherently helpful. Emotional discomfort is something to eliminate. The one offering the advice has no interest when giving the advice. Systems put in place by biology are obsolete. None of those are universal truth. So, in some common situations, positivity becomes problematic. When it becomes suppression, there is a difference between reframing and denying. Reframing is this is difficult but manageable. Denying it's not a big deal. If something genuinely hurts, loss, failure, betrayal, forcing positivity to create internal conflict, it creates a pressure bomb that will explode later on. But telling yourself, this shouldn't bother me, but it does, now you have two problems: the situation and the guilt for feeling bad about it. Suppression doesn't eliminate emotion, it delays it. And delayed emotions often return stronger, and everybody has their limits. The best case in this scenario is that you are stronger than most people, and at best, you pay later in therapy, or at worst, you pay in relationships. If you only think positively about outcomes, you may underestimate risk. Constructive pessimism exists for a reason. Thinking, what could go wrong? This is not negativity, it's preparation. Blind optimism can make you fragile. Balanced realism makes you resilient. This is also where critical thinking helps. This is how you get a good overview and manage to create a solid plan. Some people build their identity around being the positive one. They become the emotionally stable friend, the motivator, the bright energy in the room. But what happens when they feel overwhelmed? Now they can't express it because it contradicts their role, and over time it digs deep into their self identity. Or they could be as powerful as the negative side, and as overwhelming as their positivity may be, the downturn will feel even harder to sustain. This is when positivity becomes performance, and performance creates isolation. There's a modern version of positivity that goes even further. It suggests everything happens for a reason. The universe is aligning things for you. If you think negatively, you attract negativity. This is most visible in all the self-help, personal development, and so on books, trends, and public figures. This shifts responsibility from behavior to vibration. It implies that emotional state determines outcome, that belief can quietly become self-blame. If things go wrong, maybe you didn't believe hard enough. Maybe you weren't positive enough. But this never asks what people expect of you. Why are they telling you to think positive? Do they have something to gain? Are they competing with you? Advice is rarely natural. Sometimes think positive is offered because it's easier than engagement. It avoids responsibility, it keeps distance, it ends uncomfortable conversations. But what is the actual meaning of think positive? It doesn't mean deny your emotions. It means don't spiral unnecessarily, don't overthink a single moment, don't stay stuck in defeat, exercise critical thinking, try to see opportunities where possible. That is reasonable. The slogan oversimplifies emotional regulation and ignores the incentive of the people promoting it. Real emotional maturity is not constant positivity. It's emotional accuracy. It's going through good and bad, through exciting and boring, understanding that things have a timeline for anything to happen. Accurate thinking says, this is painful, and I can handle it and give it time. Not, this is painful, I will focus on something else and ignore it. There is a difference. But what differentiates optimism from positivity? Optimism and positivity are not identical. Optimism is believing effort can improve outcome. Positivity is forcing a pleasant interpretation. Optimism is strategic. Positivity can become avoidance. You can be realistic about difficulty and still optimistic about progress. The balance is stronger than forced cheerfulness. Instead of think positive, try think accurately or even think optimistically. Ask yourself these questions. Is this a real threat? What part is under my control? What's the worst case scenario? What's the likely scenario? Then regulate from there, not from denial, not from exaggeration, from clarity. Clarity reduces anxiety better than slogans. We live in environments saturated with stress, and this is how positivity became so popular. Economic uncertainty, new cycles, social comparison, social society is individualistic. The socially implanted need to succeed. In this environment, positivity became a coping mechanism and a mask in the same time. And you get to a point where you can't tell which it is, or even worse, if it's a genuine feeling of happiness that you're having. Coping mechanisms aren't inherently bad. But when coping turns into ideology and your mask collides with it, then you stop adapting. And anyone who refuses to adapt eventually breaks. Here's the catch. If you rely on positivity to stabilize yourself, your stability depends on maintaining a certain emotional tone. But think about it as fake it till you make it, because that implies progress. Keep in mind, emotions fluctuate, life fluctuates, circumstances fluctuate. A more durable system is acknowledge reality, regulate emotion, adjust behavior, be aware of your environment, give yourself space and time, move forward. That's more resilient. Think positive isn't wrong, it's incomplete. And nowadays, a motto of many books, trends, and public figures. It ignores the role of negative emotion, it ignores preparation, it ignores emotional processing, it ignores context. Incomplete ideas feel empowering until reality puts them to the test, and that's why examining them matters. If an idea survives pressure, it's worth keeping. If it collapses under scrutiny, it probably needs revision. I'll keep examining ideas like this without pretending they are sacred. If you found this useful, like the video and subscribe if you want more calm, pressure-tested thinking. Or leave a comment. What's a popular idea you think it's incomplete or completely wrong? I'll examine the most interesting ones next. Thank you for watching.